Have you ever been on a missionary trip? If no, would you like to?
No, I haven't been on a missionary trip. I was going to, but I guess I'd like to.
I've never been on one, and I really have no interest.
No, and I don't think I would like to. I don't like the idea of pushing a faith onto other people. I think it should be for their own to decide.
Mission trip? No, I haven't, but actually I think it sounds pretty interesting. Like going to foreign countries and helping people there, that sounds absolutely fantastic, and I'd love to go sometime.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Probably just for the experience.
Yeah, I'm all about trying new stuff and doing whatever, so I'm up for whatever's going on.
I've never been on a mission trip. I think I was supposed to be on one, but I never attended.
Yeah, it's always like to go to Africa and help people out like that.
I went to El Salvador.
I'm going to one this summer. Jackie's been on one though last summer.
Yes, I have. I went to Camden and we helped like people that were like less fortunate, and it helped me to like realize how their people are like the same as us, like individuals.
2 years ago, I went to Ocean City to help build a recuperation center above a cafe. They helped them through like alcohol problems and drug problems, and it was just a place for them to go where they could be comfortable and just get back on their feet.
My sister, she's been to Dominican Republic and Mexico, and I think she's going to Africa this summer. But she's been on a lot of them, and she loves it. And I mean, she wants me to go with her, but I don't know. I mean, partially I'm scared of what would happen or the impact on everything.
I remember I did for my confirmation. I always think about it, but actually I probably would do it if I had a chance to.
Have you ever been on a mission trip?
If you haven't, would you go if you had the chance?
According to the 2004 National Study of Youth and Religion, 29% of the teenagers surveyed reported that they have gone on a mission trip or done a religious service project at least once in their lives.
Have you ever been on a mission trip, Catherine?
I actually have been on day trips. I've gone 3 times to the same school for kids with Down syndrome. It's like children and teenagers. It's really, really eye-opening. How about you, Jack?
Well, actually, I've never been on one, but I'm hoping to someday. I think that, in general, our generation likes to reach out and help others, whether that involves pitching in at a local soup kitchen or traveling to a poor part of the U.S. or another country to make a difference.
I agree. And I think if more of us were aware of the opportunities, we would jump at the chance to experience life as a missionary.
Teen missionaries. That's what we'll be talking about today. Hi, everyone. I'm Jack.
And I'm Catherine.
And this is Realfaith TV. Our spotlight guest today is Julie. Julie will share with us about her mission trip to a fishing village not far from Cancun, Mexico.
We will also meet our studio guest. But first, let's go back to the teens on the street and find out if they think mission work can have an impact on a teenager's life.
Let's check it out.
They can see how like life is like out of the world. Like in Africa, people are poor and like in different foreign countries. They see that people are like don't live like we do, and it gets them like they feel grateful for what they have.
It gets them to be able to help other people and not just think of themselves.
It could show you how other people live that are less fortunate than you, and so you can get out of your own world and get into somebody else's.
Just seeing like people's hard conditions and then learning from it and just seeing how blessed we are.
It's taking them outside of the box and throwing them inside the real world.
Make me like look more about other people's, like think about other people's more.
It just shows that they're helpful. Like people, I think it's good when people help other people. It show me different sides of things.
It makes you closer to other people, and it brings you closer to God and everything.
I guess to strengthen their beliefs and to feel like they are really helping people.
It would definitely change my life if I ever went on one, and I probably will like this summer coming up. I think it's life-changing for a lot of people. Like you meet people, it's just a different lifestyle. It's a good change, I guess.
I think it'll like help me grow more as a person.
I think it could change my life. It can make me appreciate things more.
Depends what you find on that mission trip. If it really helps you out with your inner soul or whatever, anything else.
It's definitely changed me going on a mission trip. I think I see the people more as human beings, as oh yeah, they're dangerous, they're poor, who cares? I definitely care more about them, and I respect them more and realize how important they are.
It seemed that many of the teenagers who worked on religious service projects or went on mission trips found that it changed their outlook on life.
Let's meet our studio guests and find out if they've been on mission trips.
Okay, they are Ian, Hijama, Phil, Katie, Lauren, and Christina.
So, how many of you guys have been on a mission trip or done some kind of religious service project? And where'd you go and what'd you do?
Oh, I went to Bucks County for a Habitat for Humanity, and we built houses there. That was a lot of fun.
I was on the same trip. It was a great experience.
Mm-hmm.
I was at a local soup kitchen kind of thing where we prepare meals for the homeless.
I went to the Amboys and helped out the Sisters of Teresa set up food and stuff for children and people who couldn't afford it.
I went to the Romero Center in Camden, and it was really just living in solidarity with the poor.
I volunteered at the Mount Martin House in Trenton. I went to the Mercer County CYO camp, and I visited various nursing homes in the area.
People who have traveled on mission trips often say that they got more out of the experience than they gave.
Something happens when you connect with other people who are just like us, except they have to struggle for even the most basic necessities of life.
The teens we met on the street said that coming face to face with the effects of poverty really did change them.
One of the girls said the experience helped her to respect the people she went to serve and see them as human beings.
It's amazing how much we can learn about ourselves and others when we actively reach out to the poor.
So, how did your mission experience change the way you look at the world?
And did you discover anything about yourself in the process?
Well, I can personally say when I went up to Habitat, I've actually done it for 3 years, I get a lot out of it in the fact that I go up there and I'm helping people who don't have a lot of money get a nice house to live in, and that makes me feel good about myself because I'm helping other people, and it's a really rewarding cause.
Yeah, for me, it's like when you go there, you come into it with so many preconceptions about people there, and you just spend the week like talking to people, and everything you've ever thought about the city, like all the negative things you hear, it all vanishes because you don't view them as the poor anymore, you just view them as a person.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, I met some people on the Habitat trip that like were living in the Habitat homes, and they were so nice. Like, you wouldn't realize that they were impoverished unless somebody told you. And it's just, you realize bad things do happen to good people.
Right, like it's really like a eye-opening experience. You know, it makes you like reevaluate your life sometimes. Like, I've always heard about Trenton, but I've never been there. And finally, I was 14. I was like right in the middle of Trenton, among like all this crime and poverty, and it was like, wow, people actually live like this, you know? And like I feel so guilty about like what I complain about in my life when they like have nothing.
Yeah, when I went to the Amboys, there was a bunch of kids over there that I was helping with an Easter project, and they really weren't happy being there. So I took some balloons and I wrote stuff on it. All of a sudden, they were entertained, and I was just happy that I could keep them happy with simple things.
The United Nations has declared 2005 to 2015 as the Water of Life decade.
It is a sad reality that 2.5 billion people don't have the use of even the most basic sanitation facilities.
Half of the people in the world have access to only 1 bucket of water per person each day.
2 million children die every year from waterborne diseases, and millions more become chronically ill.
Within 20 years, it is expected that 3.4 billion people will be living in countries where the demand for water will be far greater than the available supply.
These statistics are staggering when you think how much we take water for granted here in the United States.
Our Spotlight guest Julie found out that we take a lot more than just water for granted when she went on a mission trip to Mexico.
Let's meet Julie and find out what her mission trip was all about.
I actually went with a group called Mano Amiga. It's an organization, rough translation means friendly hand. And we went to this little fishing village called Chebrena Puerto. It's about a 5-hour bus ride from Cancun. And we went to put roofs on houses for a whole bunch of families. It was actually the first time that I was away without my parents for that period of time. On the plane ride there, I was contemplating whether or not I was doing the right thing. I mean, it's not that I didn't know that I would be safe or, you know, I thought something bad was going to happen. I was just nervous because it was something completely new for me and I had no idea what to expect. that night we got there, and I was still a little nervous, but once we started the work the next day, like all my fears and my apprehensions just went out the window. They were gone. To make the roofs, you have to mix the cement. Everything's done by hand, no machines, anything. So to do that, you lay the sand and the Portland, and then you make the dry mix, and then you have to get usually around 7 buckets of gravel and water, and you dump that on. Then you mix that up. You can let that bake in the sun, go back, mix it again, put it in the buckets, and then send it up the bucket line. And then once the buckets get to the roof, they toss them back down, and you repeat. So it was a pretty trying experience. Got hit in the head a few times, but it was worth it. So I love to help people, whether it be like little things, like just opening the door for someone. It's just, whenever you get a chance to help someone, you want to do it, and so I jumped at the opportunity. I thought it would be awesome, and I thought it would just bring me closer to God.
Sounds like Julie really did a lot of physical work on her trip, putting roofs on houses and stuff.
Mission trips can include building houses, renovating a home or school, feeding the poor, or working to meet just about any other need that a poor community might have.
This kind of experience can take you out of your comfort zone. What part of the mission experience was the most challenging for you guys?
But what was the most rewarding at the same time?
The most rewarding part for me was like helping people who like don't have a proper meal, 3 meals a day like the rest of us, and knowing that I could help them feed themselves for that single day. That was real rewarding for me.
The most rewarding part for me is probably like the simplest thing you could think of. Just hearing those people say thank you, that they were genuinely appreciative of your work, even though it seems so small what you're doing. They just, like, their whole face would light up, and they would just be so honored that you were taking the time to just help them out.
I agree. It's very rewarding just to know that you were able to help and they're appreciative of it.
Probably the most challenging thing for the service trips that I've gone on was the fact that I was working with people with mental disabilities. Like, being around a teenager who couldn't really go away to college or really live on their own ever was really, really humbling. And then working with someone who was even 2 years older than me, I remember I was teaching this one boy how to do simple addition. And I was just sitting there really, really having things fall into my head about how appreciative I should be for the things that I just take for granted.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I actually helped out at the Special Olympics not too long ago, and I was walking around and assisting. He was actually a man. He was 34. He was actually half my age, and he was enjoying himself, and he didn't mind. He was just happy to be there, and that just made me feel really good that I was able to help him have a good time and enjoy himself, even though he had all these difficulties in his life.
Well, the most challenging part for me is more personal. Freshman year, like the first time I visited a nursing home, we went a month after my grandmother died. So I was still really shaken up about it, and I was afraid like the minute I would step in there, like burst into tears. But it turned out to be a really good day because 5 of us from our youth group afterwards were walking around visiting room to room, just saying hi to patients, and we come up to this elderly woman. She's really old, and we started talking to her for like 15, 20 minutes just about like our lives and what's going on in the world. And afterwards, she was just so happy that we were there and that she said we were such good kids, and that we're like the light of the future. And I don't know, it made us feel good. So it turned out to be very rewarding.
The most challenging part for me on Habitat was probably learning how to do everything because I never built a house before. So like putting up sheetrock was difficult. I bent a lot of nails, I broke a couple pieces, but it was for Habitat, and who was teaching us how to do everything. He stood all of us in a group, and he told us how like 30 years from now kids are going to be hanging pictures from the walls that we built, and that was just so moving. I was just so glad I'd gone.
Wow, that's incredible. Solidarity with the poor and work on behalf of justice are essential elements of living the gospel.
These are rooted in the life and teachings of Jesus, who came to serve, not to be served.
The U.S. bishops, in their publication A Century of Social Teaching, wrote, "In the Catholic social vision, the human person is central.
The clearest reflection of God among us.
Each person possesses a basic dignity that comes from God.
Not from any human quality or accomplishment, not from race or gender, age, or economic status.
We believe that people are more important than things.
It was the people who touched Julie's heart on her mission trip.
Next, she tells us of a young girl and an old man that she met on her trip. Two people she will never forget.
I was sitting out for a little while because I really didn't feel good. And, you know, I guess I looked visibly distressed that I wasn't able to work. And this little girl came down and she sat next to me and she put her arm around me. And I was like, oh, hi. My Spanish is basically non-existent. And we kind of started communicating. I found out, you know, that she was turning 15 and that we were actually putting a roof on her house the next day. The next day, she comes up to me, and I guess she had remembered that the day before that I told her that I really liked the earrings she was wearing, and she told me that she had made them. And so she came up to me the next day after we had finished putting the roof on her house, and she handed me the earrings. I have them with me, and I didn't want to cry because I thought she'd think that I was crazy then. But, you know, I thanked her and I gave her a hug, and it's just, I thought that was like, you know, so sweet, and that's like so selfless that these people, they basically, I mean, that might be all they have, you know, or just, you know, to us it's a little thing, to them it might be huge, and, you know, they're giving it up for us. There was actually this one guy, his name was Moses. He was a character, he was great. He was kind of like, you know, the grandpa of the town. Everyone knew who Moses was. Moses actually said to me that, you know, usually when they used to catch 400-something fish a day, now they were only catching 40 because of, you know, the hurricanes absolutely wreaked havoc on the coastlines and, you know, killed a lot of the fish, and, you know, a large majority of their income then went with it, unfortunately. The next day, a few guys came in and they had a fish fry for us, for the whole camp, and, you know, that was our dinner, and I just sat there thinking, I almost felt guilty eating it. I'm like, these people, like, this is their income, and, you know, they appreciate what we're doing so much that, you know, this is how they're repaying us. They're basically giving us their income, and they were always looking to help you. Like, you know, even the kids at the school, they were helping us put the roof on their school, and the people who we put the roofs on the houses for, you know, they were helping us the whole time, and they were watching, and they were just always looking to help and to give and to make other people happy. And, you know, to me, that was, you know, that's like you're truly touched by Christ if you're able to do something like that.
I think your story is really amazing because, you know, that fish fry, that's something that they really don't have a lot of, and fish are something that they need and everything, and I think that shows, you know, how God is reflected in the people that we serve, because even though they have so little, they were so willing to give her what they had in appreciation. I think if we could, you know, maybe try and be a little more like that, the world would be a better place.
I think that's the whole point of mission trips. In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 25, Jesus tells a parable about the sheep and the goats.
Those found to be righteous asked the Lord when they had fed or clothed him, when they had visited him or sheltered him.
He responded, "When you did this to the least of my people, you did it to me."
Every kindness shown to another is an act of love for the Lord.
How much does faith play a part in our decision to get involved in mission work?
What does our faith teach us about this?
That's what we asked the teens on the street.
Let's check it out.
I don't think my faith has anything to do with reaching out to anyone. I think it's more of who I am and if I'm compassionate or if I'm not.
I just learned that, you know, you give to the poor no matter what you have, whether you're rich or poor, just give what you can. And I don't know, it makes you feel like a better person and happier.
If you have a lot of stuff in your life, maybe give it to somebody else and try and make them happy.
It specifies in the Bible to help others that don't have things.
It's always good to help people that need help, and if you are able to give them help, then you should do it, because if you were in need of help and somebody could help you out. So
it makes me like almost have not really pity for them, but it makes me want to help them. Like they didn't have the opportunities I have, so I want to be able to take my opportunities to help them.
It teaches you that you should help everybody else and everybody's equal, and that you should treat everybody fairly and always try to help others less fortunate.
That's what Jesus did, so we're supposed to.
We're blessed to have what we have, and that we're more fortunate, and that we should help others.
Because it teaches me to help. I always donate money and stuff.
Like when I go to church, I like give donations and stuff.
It made me
realize like what the poor really go through and things that sometimes I don't need and I want them, I'll just let them go because they need them more.
Well, I know that being grateful to God for all the blessings that I have is definitely part of my motivation to do missionary work.
So, how much did your faith influence your decision to get involved and help the poor?
My faith encouraged me to like take the leap and go to a place like Camden and do service work, but it was especially like apparent to me while I was down there because it took a lot to keep going because it's in your face 24/7. It's not like when you hear about like Asia or Africa on TV, it's right in your face.
Well, my faith influenced me because one, it was a church youth group organized trip that I went on, and also like I knew that Jesus he did a lot of things for other people, and you know, one of my goals is to live kind of like Jesus did, and so I figured that was a good way to do it.
I'm an altar server, and I always helped around with the church. My faith helped me like to go an extra step and help others outside my church. Yeah.
In faith, we strive to live as Jesus lived.
To love one another as God loved us.
We are called to serve our brothers and sisters, not because of some requirement, some reward, or because it makes us feel good to help,
but as an act of no strings attached, unconditional love.
And in the process, we are changed.
Julie's mission experience has had a lasting effect on her life and on her relationship with God.
Let's find out now.
I think it definitely opened my eyes because I always knew that, you know, much of the world was poor and didn't have it as good as most of us have it. But by going down there, seeing it firsthand, it was mind-blowing. If you read the Bible, read the Gospels, all that, I mean, Jesus is always reaching out and helping people as much as he can. And as Christians, we want to emulate Christ as much as possible. We want to be like him. That was an incentive to go. The whole experience definitely brought me closer to God, and it was really obvious that everyone else that went, you know, felt the same way because every single one of them, you can see at one point or another on the trip how, you know, just their facial expressions, how they were touched by what was going on. I pray every night like I've always prayed, but I pray for different things that are more important. Like I said before, it really makes you realize what is important and what's not. The whole experience itself was, I'm gonna remember all of it until the day that I die. I know that's one thing that's definite.
So, did you find that your mission experience brought you closer to God?
Well, my youth group and I had a really big advantage because we did most of our service work Holy Week, during Holy Week, like Holy Thursday, Good Friday. So those are really like days of reflection, and we just focused on what we were doing, the people we were serving. We didn't care like if you were nervous or if we were going to get dirty, and we didn't care what was going on in like our own lives. We just focused on the people we were serving, and so it really taught us to become very selfless and serve other people just like Jesus did.
So then, did it teach you about anything about placing your trust in God?
My experience definitely did, because you're pushed so far out of your comfort zone that if you don't trust in God, you really have nothing left. And if you don't have anything left, you're just going to fall. So you definitely need to trust in God in an experience where you have no one else, like family or support or anything like that.
Yeah, I feel like when I went on my Habitat trip, felt like I was really living out Jesus' example, and that's what God wants us to do, and what Jesus wants us to do. He wants us to be like him in the fact that we can go out there and help others and be selfless and let them experience the joys of life, such as living in a house. And by doing that, I feel that that has brought me personally closer to God because I can follow his example.
Yeah, when I started helping the Sisters of Mother Teresa, I wasn't, when I was first called to ask to help, I wasn't sure I should go out and do it. But something was telling me, do it, you might have a good time. And when I went for the first time to help, I had a really good time, and I felt like that because I trusted in God, I really got a good experience out of it, and I kept going to help after that.
You know, it's really amazing. We said before that often we walk away from these service projects more changed than even the effort we put out. Because, you know, if you're just helping someone at Special Olympics or you're teaching somebody how to do math, you walk away with so much more. I came away with a greater appreciation for absolutely everything in my life just from spending a couple hours with someone who has so much more difficulty in their life.
We definitely have a lot to learn from the people that were out there helping. We think it's us out there making a difference, but it's we who are changed in the process. Teen missionaries do serious work.
But it can also be a lot of fun.
You can make new friends and maybe even see a different part of the world.
It will help you to grow and mature as a human being and a person of faith.
Most importantly, it will help you to understand that we are all called to help each other.
And that by responding to that call from God, even one person can make a difference.
Have you ever done missionary work or a religious service project?
We want to know.
Contact us through our website.
The address is www.realfaithtv.com.
Or you can call us at 609-406-7402.
Giving our hands and hearts in service to those most in need.
We are renewed in our hope for the coming of God's kingdom.
By the words of Jesus from the Gospel of Luke.
Blessed are you who are poor.
For yours is the kingdom of God.
Blessed are you who are hungry now.
For you will be filled.
Blessed are you who weep now.
For you shall laugh.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time on
Real Faith TV.
God bless.